get further reaction and analysis from Gina Miller, very successful entrepreneur in her own right, founder of SCM Direct, Moneyshe and Transparency, and Justice campaigner. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, Mark.
What might your concerns be about today's budget?
Oh my gosh, where do we start? First, there's a process and then there's the content. I think we'll all agree that the process of getting to this budget has been an absolute pantomime. And I think it's time we stop this and just had, instead of a budget day, that a Chancellor goes to Parliament and just says what they're going to do, because it's just been disgraceful, all the kite flying. But then content-wise, I'm afraid I think this will be an economically illiterate budget. There seems to be very little understanding of what the country needs at the moment. And it's you know, as we've all suspected, it looks as though it's going to be a budget for the backbenchers and not for rebuilding Britain. I mean, just in my area, just a small example on the reducing the cash ISAs, we already have one of the lowest saving rates in the G7.
Yeah.
And rather than doing that and educating people, because there is a job of educating people to say that in cash you don't get, you know, the returns you need to secure your future, what they should be looking at is something like encouraging pension funds to invest some of their equities into UK businesses, because they just show that they don't understand, behavior of individuals. Because what people will do is because they want low risk in cash ISAs, they'll simply put that money in, say, a cash ETF, and it won't go to UK businesses. But overall, there's so much she could do to actually encourage business and confidence. And instead, we've got confidence that's on the floor. It's it's the lowest it's been since the global financial crisis. And there's little in this budget that I can see that's actually going to create the fairness we need in our system. They keep going on about fairness, but actually look at the tax gap. Look at the trusts that need reforming. Look at actually other things. Look at an online transaction tax. There are other things they can do, but there's nothing in this budget that gives me confidence that this is a Chancellor who actually understands how to get our economy growing.
And Gina, you are far from being a rabid right-winger, I should say. You're not a Tory, you're not a Reform UK supporter, no. But you can just see from a cold, calculating business point of view that today's budget is likely to make things worse, not better, for my viewers and listeners.
Absolutely, because it's the economy, stupid, as the saying goes. It's not about politics. It's about, I don't care which political party you're in. Our country is in crises. We need money to spend on rebuilding our infrastructure, to addressing the systemic failures we've got. And rather than tinkering, we need real reform, and we need to raise money. And the fairness point is a real one. I absolutely agree that people are cross and angry about the unfairness in our tax system, but that's what should be addressed. You know, we've got people who are avoiding their taxes. Let's get them paying their taxes. Let's get businesses paying their fair share. And I don't mean businesses on the high street, I mean digital businesses. I mean, let's get a proper tax system that's simple and fair and invested in so that it's collected properly, rather than punishing people all the time and, you know, making it much harder. I mean, overnight, this new announcement on the minimum wage or living wage, when you've got the Resolution Foundation, a fan of the Labour Party, saying that it will cause crisis for under 21s and mean that that number of not in employment or education could go up to 1 million. 1 million. I mean, it's disgraceful.
Indeed, and the Resolution Foundation that you mentioned, the Labour Party, one of its favourite think tanks, has also suggested that the workers' rights package is going to hurt growth, it's going to hurt investment, it's going to hurt employment. And the Tony Blair Institute have said that the workers' rights package must be mothballed, paused at best. It's not going to happen,
as I said, it is an economically illiterate budget, and I don't understand why she doesn't have, or whoever the advisors are around it, because there must be advisors. Every government has advisors, every treasury have advisors, or maybe are not speaking with the government, with Mr. Starmer and Mrs. Reeves. Maybe they're just not listening. But I can tell you, as a business person, as an investor, as looking after people's money, this budget, people are not going to be taking kindly to it.
I've had a couple of people saying, you know, why is this happening? Why are they doing this? Is it political ideology over economic reality?
You think it is? I think that what they're doing, I mean, they don't seem to have a vision. And this is actually something more holistically about the Labour Party. If they had a vision and a plan and said, look, what we're going to do is we're going to create a fairer society and this is how we're going to do it, then people would understand. And, they keep going on about the bond markets. I can tell you what the markets want. It's what I do every day, is certainty and confidence. And we don't have that because we can't see a plan. What they seem to do is kite fly one thing, the backbenchers are unhappy, so they change their minds, and it's politics that changes every day depending on the weather.
Briefly, Gina, are the Tories escaping sort of accountability here, given that they were in power for 14 years? Is it important to kind of put that in context, that they're partly culpable for this rather dysfunctional economy that we've got?
Look, Mark, there's no denying, I know you were like this, but there's no denying the effects of 14 years of poor political choices by the Conservative Party and the fact that we Brexited. Those are both realities. But what we need to do is deal with policies now that will fix some of those black holes. It's no point just looking backwards. And that's what you can't carry on blaming people all the time. You need to fix it. And that's what the government should be doing. We should be focusing on policies that actually fix our economy, create jobs, create growth, and actually invest in our country.
Well, Gina, when we've got more time, you and I can have a good old Brexit ding-dong. Before I let you go, we share the same view, which is that we want the viewers and listeners to this show to be able to work, make something of their lives, contribute to the system, have something to show for it at the end of it. At the moment, I'm getting such a message, Gina, from so many people listening to and watching the show. Some of them have said, if I had the money, I would leave. That's the first thing they're saying.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people are saying, I took a message earlier, a voice note from a chap who's been at the bus stop since 5 a.m, waiting for a bus which is 20 minutes late to go and do a 12-hour shift, and he'll be left with precious little once he's paid his costs and his taxes at the end of the hard working day. So we've got that, and I've just taken a call from Mary in Leeds, and her son has been through 40 job applications. He's well qualified, he's 19 years of age, he wants to work, he cannot find work, and so therefore the outlook is quite grim.
It is, but when you've got to, the national insurance tax that they brought in last April has really damaged the employment possibilities for youngsters when it comes to different sectors. We already know that data and we already see that happening. And from what I do in investment side, I can tell you people with money, it's not just people with lots of money who are leaving. I mean, I'm just to give you an anecdote, on Monday I was having my chemo, I'm going through chemotherapy and at the moment, and on the ward that I was on in my NHS hospital, all the nurses and doctors were talking about is where they're going to, their applications to Australia, to New Zealand, the fact they're leaving. So this is not just the wealthy who are saying, what we perceive as wealthy people. These are people who are saying, why would we stay here? The economy is not working. The environment is one of hostility and jealousy. We don't want to bring our families up here. That's not, we need aspiration, we need confidence, we need creativity, we need to have a positive outlook. And that's just not being delivered at the moment.
Gina, we wish you well on your health journey, and be praying for a speedy recovery for you, and more power to you for your bold remarks about the economy at the moment and what you consider to be an economically illiterate budget. Thank you, Gina. We'll catch up again soon. Gina Miller is the founder of SCM Direct, Moneyshe and Transparency, and a justice campaigner.